Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Athena and today we are going to be talking about all things breastfeeding. Everything you need to know, everything you can expect, and the things that you actually need for those early stages of breastfeeding. I'm currently expecting my second child sometime this month, and it's really got me thinking about all of the stuff that we are marketed as women and as mothers that we don't actually need. A lot of fear around breastfeeding and doing it right and having a good latch, and the lack of education around breastfeeding that we get beforehand. So I really just wanted to make this video so that you can feel prepared and excited and have everything that you need when your little one arrives. So starting at the very beginning, baby is born. Luckily, they are born with this instinctive reflex to suckle. So they're going to want to breastfeed, they're going to want to latch. The difficult part is that they don't have a lot of muscles built up in their necks and in their bodies to prop their bodies up to position themselves properly. So it is up to mom in those early days to really hold the baby. And this got me. I was very shocked by this because you kind of have to aggressively hold your newborn's head and really guide them, place them, push them onto the nipple, because again, they are unable to do that on their own. So I had never handled a baby before. I had never held a newborn, and this was kind of intimidating and scary, and the lactation consultant was like, don't worry, it's normal, but like you kind of have to be assertive. So just be prepared for that. It's okay, it's totally normal. I highly suggest investing in a breastfeeding pillow. They're not that expensive. I really liked the Boppy. It was great for all sorts of stages throughout the baby's development, fantastic for travel. I think they're like $20 or $30, and you can kind of just rewash their cover. So they stay clean, they last forever, 10 out of 10 recommend. But generally just having a breastfeeding pillow so that you as mom have that extra arm support, because it is really exhausting. You don't realize until you're there. We're not used to holding our arms up like this for hours and hours. So having that breastfeeding pillow is a game changer. I also suggest adding it to your go bag list or your hospital bag list, because oftentimes the pillows that they provide in the hospital are really flimsy. So it does give that extra bit of support and ease when you're first latching in those couple days that you might be in the hospital. Next thing that you can expect is you can expect to need to wake up your baby every 2 hours to feed. Oftentimes when they're that little, they are really sleepy and they don't necessarily want to be up and eating. So it is up to you as mama to wake the baby up every 2 hours. You might even have to set an alarm because you might want to sleep. The reason being is because right after the baby is born, their weight usually drops, and you want to see their weight go back to their birth weight by about 2 weeks old. So it is really important that you are waking the baby up every 2 to 3 hours, making sure that they get a little bit of milk. This is also crucial because you are establishing your milk supply. So the frequency in which your baby is suckling is also sending signals to your body to, hey, this is how much milk I need you to produce. It can be stressful, it could be a lot, especially because sometimes the baby doesn't want to stay awake and you have to get really creative and take a little rag or like a cold wet towel and really coax them to keep them awake so that they're getting enough nutrients. Something to keep in mind, something that I didn't know entering the newborn stage when it comes to breastfeeding, you are going to be responsible for waking your child most of the time in those first couple weeks. When it comes to milk supply, your milk supply is going to be coming in full swing, usually around day 2 or 3 after baby is born. This was also a very shocking experience for me because your breasts are going to get rock hard. It is going to be painful. It is not comfortable. Luckily, it only lasts about 2 days before it levels out. In these few days where you are extremely engorged, there is the possibility of mastitis. So it is just important to be educated on what mastitis is. What are the signs for mastitis? Check your temperature. Are you running a fever? Are you noticing any discoloration, pus coming out of your nipples? Things to kind of pay attention to. But again, if you are mindful of it, typically it's pretty easy to avoid. Now, during this window of engorgement, you are probably going to want to pump for some sort of relief in your breasts. This is not suggested in the first 2 weeks, primarily because your body is getting used to how much milk it should produce. So oftentimes when we put a pump on, it could signal to our body that we need significantly more milk than we actually do. There are actually cases where women will put the pumps on their both breasts too early on, and their body will think that they have twins. So they'll end up producing double the amount of milk, which will then cause engorgement later on throughout the breastfeeding journey, and again, more risks for mastitis. So during this little window where you're very uncomfortable and engorged, just trying to avoid or resist that urge to pump, you can do hand expressions in the shower. Those are great with the warm water. I highly suggest getting some sort of heating pad. Now the heating pad is going to be great for labor, for engorgement, and for when your period comes back. So I think it's like $17 or whatever on Amazon, but I highly suggest it. I used it. I still use it to this day. I love my heating pad, but that helped me a lot with the engorgement and the discomfort. Now, once the engorgement passes, we're kind of getting into the flow of things. We're on day 4 or so. You know, baby is starting to latch more regularly. Hopefully everything is going well on that end. Now let's talk about nipple care. Most women's nipples are not used to being stimulated as much as when we start breastfeeding, so it can actually be pretty uncomfortable. That's totally normal. I highly suggest getting some sort of nipple cream just to have on hand to avoid cracked nipples. Some women experience where their nipples are literally bleeding because they're so cracked. So having a nipple cream ready to go in your little basket by your bed is a game changer. Another fantastic tool are these little silverettes. Now they're a little bit more expensive, but they really do work wonders. You can place them into your bra. They help to heal your cracked nipples. Not only that, they also collect a little bit of milk, and they kind of work as a little spoon. So if, you know, it's the middle of the night, your baby will not stay awake to feed, but you know that they need a little bit of milk to make that 2-hour window. It's nice because you can use that little silverette as a spoon, and at the very least get some spoonfuls of milk into their mouth if they're not willing to stay awake and to latch long enough to get any on their own. A couple other fantastic things for letdown and collecting that extra milk are going to be a haka. This is fantastic for when you're breastfeeding on one boob. You can put the haka on the other, and it kind of just helps collect any letdown. I also really love these little ladybugs. They're fantastic for just keeping in your nursing bra when you're not feeding to collect any extra milk. These are just great options and alternatives, especially during those first couple weeks when pumping isn't really available to you. And finally, nursing bras, breastfeeding friendly PJs, things that make your life a little bit more comfortable. I highly suggest just getting a bunch of nursing bras. You're going to be leaking through them, going through them like crazy in the beginning. I also really love the little nursing pads. They're reusable. You just throw them in the washing machine with your clothes. And the final thing I'll talk about is food and water. Please stay so hydrated. We need very high protein foods. You're gonna be ravenous. I've never been so hungry in my life. It really helped just to have little energy squares, some beef jerky, high protein snacks in my breastfeeding cart around me at all times. Talk to your partner about this, or any support that you might have around, just helping them to be aware, like, hey, when I'm breastfeeding, like, I'm going to be really hungry, I'm going to be really thirsty. Help to keep me accountable, keep snacks by my bedside, get me some trail mix, and make sure my water bottle is full. So yeah, that about covers it. Everything else, you know, if you do decide to pump and start storing, that will come after the first couple weeks. So of course, you know, a good pump, some bags or some little containers, glass jars. Now they have all sorts of things when it comes to storing milk in the fridge and the freezer, so you can kind of gauge based off of that. But again, some women prefer to only breastfeed and not pump at all. So whatever you decide and whatever's best for you is great. This video is mainly just intended for those first couple weeks so that you're prepared, you know what to expect, and you have everything that you need, and you're not like rushing to the store to get something. Hope that that was helpful. I wish someone told me these things before my first child. Congratulations on your new little baby, and I will be posting many more videos about postpartum, newborn, all the things pregnancy related and baby related. And with that, I hope you have a beautiful and blessed day, and congratulations again. What a beautiful thing motherhood is, and yeah, bye.